Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud. We learn to lead. My name is Vikas. So friends, in today's video we'll be discussing the most important current affairs of the topic indexes and reports of the March month. The video will be very important, so do watch the video till the end. Hit the like button, share the link of this video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe. So friends, let's start with our video, but before that we have something important to tell you about. We have an app by the name Carriers Cloud which you can go and download through the Play Store. Once you have downloaded the app, you will open the app and you will see this type of screen. In this, you can go and log in with your Google account, that is your Gmail ID. Then once you have logged in, then you will be moved to this page where you can see a window. If you click on the current affairs section here, then you will be moved to this page. Now this is where magic happens. This is the course where there are two courses provided by us. First, you should know it is of 1 year and 2 years. So choose your course accordingly. What we are providing and what is the reason behind that you should purchase course of current affairs from us, and what are the important details about it. First thing you should know that we provide you current affairs in both English and Hindi. Okay. Also, we provide you here current affairs daily. PDFs are provided daily. The important factor here to remember is we are providing PDF to you daily. Okay, that contains question answers of the daily current affairs. They are explained in a much easy way where you can grasp the knowledge and do your revision. Okay, apart from app, we provide you with question answers. Then on every day we provide you 20 question answers quiz, daily 20 questions quiz. So imagine how much it will benefit you in your preparation. Then we provide you same thing for weekly. In weekly we take a quiz of 50 questions. Then question answers of week, we provide you a book, PDF is provided you weekly of the compiled questions of the whole week. Similarly for monthly also, ebook is given, your quizzes are taken, question answers PDF. Then apart from it, we also help you to prepare for banking papers. All the banking exams you can go refer to our videos and our courses here. You can see here the we provide you banking and economic quiz of 157 questions. Okay, then topic wise PDFs are covered. As you can see, we are making videos on indexes and reports, important days, the books and authors, all the events that are taking place in individual months. So these PDFs are provided to you and they will help you a lot in your preparation for journal awareness, your journal studies, as well as for current affairs. Then you can see we also provide you current affairs for state-wise current affairs are provided to you. Apart from this, I have a gift for all of my friends here. If you use my code Vikas10, you will be getting a straight 10% discount on the purchase you make. So when you are about to check out and do the payment, just before the payment, you will be getting an option to use the promo code. There you can put the Vikas10, the code, and you will be getting an extra 10% discount on the total purchase you make there. So let's start with our video. So friends, the first index that we'll be discussing is Land Records Digitization Index, or you can say NCAER LRSI Index. This stands for, first of all, you should know the full form of NCAER. Alright, NCAER stands for National Council of Applied Economics Research, and LRSI, it stands for Land Record Digitization Index. Alright, then in this particular index you should know Madhya Pradesh has topped the index second time in a row, followed by second position was of West Bengal, third Odisha, fourth Maharashtra, and fifth Tamil Nadu. Let's look at some of the details. In accordance with the second edition of NCAER, that is National Council of Applied Economics Research, Land Record Services and Index, almost 32 states and union territories have shown an improvement in their effort to digitize land records. Their mean has shown an increase of 16.6% in the particular 2020-2021. Then notably remember, Madhya Pradesh has topped the list for the second year in a row and followed by West Bengal at second position, Odisha at third, Maharashtra at fourth, and Tamil Nadu at fifth. So important thing to remember from this particular index is that of Land Digitization Index is the state that topped this index was Madhya Pradesh. Alright, then Only 13 states allow online mode of payment for property registration, while 9 states are still using paper stamps for it. Who has prepared the index? The index has been prepared by NCAR, that is National Council of Applied Economic Research, with the support from Omidyar Network India through its Property Rights Research Consortium. Then, if we look at the index, the top states are Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Odisha, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and the bottom 5 states, they are Sikkim, Assam, Kerala, Manipur, and Gujarat. Next index is your ease of living index or the municipal performance index 2020. I repeat, ease of living index and your municipal performance index. Then in this two particular categories are given that you need to know about. First, that is your million plus population category, and the second is your less than million population category. Both the states are important, so you should know both the name in which million category one and the state in which the less than million category one the particular index. These index has been the ease of living index and the municipal performance index. This has been released, the final rankings has been released by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and the minister's name is Hardeep Singh Puri ji. If we look at some of the data, Hardeep Singh Puri, the Minister of State for Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, released the final ranking of ease of living index 2020 and the municipal performance index 2020 through an online event. Everything is online, everything is virtual in today's world right now. All right, so the question will be framed, who released the ease of living index? It was released by Hardeep Singh Puri ji, who is the Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs. All right, second thing, then it will be asked in two categories. So I told you there are two categories. First category is million plus category and second is less than million category. So for the purpose of ranking, both ease of living index and your municipal performance index categorize the ranking of cities, including the cities under smart cities program and municipalities under two categories based on their population. Around 111 cities participated in the assessment which was conducted in 2020. So first thing, the two categories are million plus category and less than million category. In million plus category, the state that topped was Bangalore, second position was of Pune, and third was of Ahmedabad. Similarly, if we talk about less than million category, the city that has topped is Shimla, then Bhubaneswar and Silvassa. All right, so do remember this. What is ease of living? If we talk about ease of living, is how easily the people of that particular state or city is living, how easily all the facilities are accessible to them, how easily all the such as education, health, then security, then water, all these basic necessities of lives are provided to them or not. Ease of living index basically evaluates the quality of life and the impact of various initiatives for urban development in the city. All right, then it is important, and the question can be asked, who releases this ease of index? It is released by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. All right, so in the million plus category, Bangalore topped it, and in less than million category, Shimla topped it. All right, then moving on to next. Next is very important, so do mark it, do take a note of this index. The next is your report, that is that India has downgraded from free to partly free in a democracy report. All right, important thing, do remember it. The question is from democracy report. Question can be framed, who releases the democracy report? Democracy report is released by the Freedom House, that is a think tank of USA. I repeat, the democracy report is released by, question will be framed, who releases the democracy report? It is the Freedom House, which is a think tank of USA, that releases the democracy report. All right, first question. Second question from this will be, now India has been categorized in what? In the democracy report, it has been categorized as partly free. That means India has downgraded. Earlier it was free, and now it has been categorized as partly free in the democracy report. So let's look some of the details regarding this report. According to the Freedom in the World 2021 Democracy Under Siege, this is the name of the report, so do remember, released by US based think tank Freedom House. Who releases this report? That is the democracy report. It is released by the think tank, US based think tank, that is Freedom House. All right, India has scored a 67 and its position has been downgraded to partly free from free. That means earlier India was categorized as free, but now it has been categorized as partly free. All right, in the democracy report that has been released by the Freedom House, which is a think tank of USA. Then India's ranking has also fallen to 88 out of 211 countries. Alright, earlier the rank of India was what? From earlier it was 83, now it has been downgraded to 88. That means India has slipped 5 positions. Next, the most free countries with a score of 100 are Finland, Norway, and Sweden. Do remember this. Finland, Norway, and Sweden are the most free countries. Question will be framed: which are the, what is the, or it is the, which is the most free country in the world? It is Finland, Norway, and Sweden. Then least free country in the world with a score of 1 are Tibet and Syria. Tibet and Syria are the least free countries. India is categorized as partly free now. Mostly free are Finland, Norway, and Sweden, and the least free countries are Tibet and Syria. Next, this is the first time since 1997 that India has been downgraded to partly free. India has scored a decrease. India's score has decreased from 71 in 2020. What is the score of India right now? The score of India currently is 67. Earlier the score of India was 71. The important thing to remember here, 3 to 4 question will be from this particular report. Who releases the report? Released by Freedom House. Name of the report, that is your Freedom in the World 2021 Democracy Under Siege, or you can say the Democracy Report. Then India is now regarded as partly free. The country that is most free country is Finland, Norway, Sweden with a score of 100, and the score countries with score 1 that are the least free countries are Tibet and Syria. All right. So India's rank was India is now partly free with a score of 67. Finland, Sweden, Norway mostly free, and Tibet and Syria are the least free countries. All right. Next, we'll be talking about the Hurun Global Rich List 2021. Remember, this is important and have a higher chance of being asked. Hurun Global List 2021. India adds 40 billionaires in 2020. Another question: how many billionaires were added in India in 2020 during the lockdown or during the pandemic year 2020? So 40 billionaires were added to the rich list of India. Then Mukesh Ambani is the richest or the 8th richest person in the world, and this list, Hurun Global Rich List, was topped by Elon Musk. Who is Elon Musk? Elon Musk is the owner of SpaceX, Tesla. All right, and recently they will be launching a space satellite by the name Dodge 1 in the year 2022. All right, so Mukesh Ambani is the 8th richest person in the world. This is according to the Hurun Global Rich List of 2021. But remember, recently, who is the richest person of the in the world? As I am recording this video on 26th of May, the richest person is Bernard Arnault. All right. He is related to which company? He is related to Louis Vuitton. All right. So if we look at the report, according to Hurun Global Rich List 2021, Chairman of Reliance Industries Mukesh Ambani, with a wealth of 83 billion US dollar, that is approximately 6 lakh crore rupees, became the 8th richest person in the world. The list was topped by Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla, then Jeff Bezos, who is the CEO of Amazon, and Bernard Arnault, who is the CEO of Louis Vuitton company. And I'm telling you that now Bernard Arnault is the richest person of the world as of May. All right. Then Hurun Global Rich List 2021 is the 10th year of ranking. It ranked 3,228 billionaires from 2,402 companies and 68 countries. Elon Musk took the number 1 spot for the first time, and at the age of 49 years is the youngest one to take the number 1 spot. So if the question is asked, who is the youngest person or who is the person that topped the Hurun Global Rich List in 2021? He is Elon Musk. Do remember, you have to name it Elon Musk, not Bernard Arnault. All right. So Elon Musk will be your correct answer. In the Hurun Global Rich List 2020, Mukesh Ambani was ranked 9th. In 2020, the world added 3 billionaires every 2 days. India added one every week. Alright, then next. If we are talking about the youngest Indians, and do remember this is important. Apurva Mehta of Instacart and Nikhil Kamanath of Zerodha, both 34 years, became the youngest Indian billionaires with a net worth of $1.7 billion. Back to the question that you should know, Huron Global Rich. Who topped the Huron Global Rich list? It was topped by Elon Musk. Mukesh Ambani secured the 8th richest man in the world. Alright, and India added about 40 billionaires in 2020 alone itself. Alright, then moving on to the next. Next report is your India overperformer in the frontier technology. Alright, I repeat, it is a report among the developing countries, and according to this Technology and Innovation Report 2021, do remember the name, Technology and Innovation Report 2021. This report has been released by UN report, and this is basically among the developing countries. In this report, India is the biggest performer in the frontier technologies. Alright, and India ranked at 43. That means India is growing at a very fast pace in terms of frontier technologies. So if we look at the data, in accordance with the new country readiness index released by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Next question. Who releases this report, that is your technology and innovation report? This report is released by UNCTAD, UNCTAD, alright, UNCTAD, and this UNCTAD stands for United Nations on Trade and United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Alright, and the name of the report is Technology and Innovation Report, that was released by UNCTAD. India is the biggest overperformer in the frontier technologies than its per capita gross domestic product among 158 countries, or you can say among the developing countries. India ranked at 43, while the estimated one based on the per capita income was 108. This means that India overperformed other countries by 65 ranking positions. India was followed by Philippines, which overperformed by 57 ranking positions. Then you need to remember that these are the 5 overperforming countries related to the per capita of GDP. First was India, the overperformance position. Don't remember these overperformance position, but just go through them once. Second was Philippines, then Ukraine, Vietnam and China. Simply the question will be framed here in two formats. First, what is the name of the report that was released by UNCTAD that tells about the overperformance in frontier technology? That is your Technology and Innovation Report. This was released by whom? That is UNCTAD, that is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And who was the overperformance? India was the overperformance in this frontier technologies. Alright, it is important one, so do take a note of it. Don't write all the lines, just write the important words and frame your notes in one liner format. Okay, so it will be easy for you when you remember or when you revise them next time. So moving on to next we'll be talking about Economic Freedom Index. The Index of Economic Freedom is an annual index and ranking created in 1995 by the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. Do remember this name, the Heritage Foundation, and along with the Wall Street Journal, to measure the degree of economic freedom in the world's nation. So the question will be framed, which country topped the Economic Freedom Index? It was Singapore, rank 1. What is the rank of India in Economic Freedom Index? It is 121. Who releases the Economic Freedom Index report? It is released by the Heritage Foundation. Alright, and which edition was released in 2021 of the Economic Freedom Index? It was the 27th edition. Alright, and one more thing, do remember in this, that in this year Hong Kong was excluded from the rankings. Alright, so let's look at the report. India with a score of 56.5 was ranked 121, that is mostly unfree, in the 2021 Index of Economic Freedom. This is released by the Heritage Foundation. Singapore was the country that topped the list for the second time in a row, followed by the New Zealand and Australia. That means on first rank it was Singapore, second was New Zealand and third was Australia. Moving on, India ranked 26th among 40 countries in the Asia Pacific region, and its overall score is below the regional and world averages. Next, this is the first time that the index has been published after the COVID-19 pandemic. Around 184 countries have been covered in the index. The period of the study is from July 2019 to June 2020. For the first time, the Heritage Foundation has excluded Hong Kong from its ranking, as Hong Kong has topped the index for 25 out of 27 years. So, what are the important questions that will be framed from this Economic Freedom Index? As I said, you need to know which country topped this index. It was Singapore. Rank of India, that is 121. Who releases it? It is released by the Heritage Foundation, and this was the 27th edition of the Economic Freedom Index. Then if we look at the rank, Indian rank first, 121 rank is of India, first is of Singapore, second is of New Zealand, and third is of Australia. Then India is categorized as mostly unfree, and all the three rest, Singapore, New Zealand and Australia, they has been categorized as free. Moving on to the next report. Next report is your how dangerous a particular roads are. So first we will be looking here the most country with the most dangerous road, and then we will be talking about the country with the safest road. All right. So first, remember the country with the most dangerous roads are South Africa on the first position. South Africa has the most dangerous roads. It is followed by with second rank Thailand. On third it is USA, and on fourth it is India. Alright, so how the questions will be asked here is, what is the country with the most dangerous road? It is South Africa. Then second, it is Thailand. On third it is USA, and then directly it can be asked, India secured which position in the most dangerous roads in the world? India secured the fourth position. Alright. Then there were a total of 56 countries that took part in this particular index, and this report, that is the world's most dangerous reports, is released by whom? It is released by International Driver Education Company. Do take a note of it. It is released by International Driver Education Company. Alright, so let's look at the notes. According to the study conducted by International Driver Education Company, South Africa was ranked first in the world's most dangerous roads. It was followed by Thailand and USA, and India was ranked at the fourth position in this study. Then if we talk about the world's safest road, alright, we have seen the world's most dangerous road. Now we will be talking about the world's safest road. Norway has the world's safest road and has topped in the study of the world's safest road. It is followed by Japan in the second place and Sweden in the third place. So if the question is asked, the country with the most safest road, it is Norway, followed by Japan and Sweden. And if it is asked, if the country with the most dangerous road, it is South Africa, then it is your Thailand, USA and India on the fourth position. Alright, so this is important. Do take a note of it. Moving on to next report. Next we'll be talking about the World Happiness Report. Alright, that means how happy or how cheerful the people of a particular country are. Are their fundamental rights being completed, or are they having any difficulty in living? Are they having all the facilities provided to them? What is their stress level? How the students or how the children of that particular country are dealing with the studies or with the stress and daily growing up. Alright, so this is all these things, all these parameters are combined, and this World Happiness Report is released. Question framed from this happiness report: what is the rank of India? Who topped the index? And who releases this World Happiness Report? The important one is the organization that releases this happiness report, and this World Happiness Report is released by United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Alright, that is your UN. SDSN, I repeat, United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network releases this World Happiness Report. The rank of India was 139 out of 149 countries, and the country that topped in World Happiness Report was Finland. India with a score of 3.819 has been ranked 139 out of 149 countries in the World Happiness Report 2021. It is a publication of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network. Mark this is very important. United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network. The ranking was topped by Finland, and this tops for the fourth time in a row. That means for the last 4 years, this rank of the World's Happiness Report is topped by Finland, followed by Iceland and Denmark. Rank of India is 139 out of 149. So moving on to next, this is the 9th World Happiness Report, and it is based on the surveys conducted during the time period of 2018 to 2020. It ranks the world's 149 countries on how happy their citizens perceive themselves to be. The result of report based on the Gallup World Poll. The least happy countries were Afghanistan with a rank of 149, Zimbabwe 148, and Rwanda at the rank of 147, that is 147. So the important questions: rank of India 139, report released by United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and who topped this index of World Happiness Report? It was topped by Finland. All right, so moving on to next. Next, we'll be talking about World Hearing Day. Alright, World Hearing Day. This day is celebrated on the 3rd of March. You need to know then the theme of World Hearing Day. The theme is Hearing Care for All, Screen, Rehabilitate and Communicate. I repeat, theme is Hearing Care for All, Screen, Rehabilitate and Communicate. This is the theme of World Hearing Day that is celebrated on 3rd of March. Then next thing, who releases this report? This report is released by WHO, that is your World Health Organization. All right. Then the headquarters of World Health Organization is in Geneva, Switzerland. So let's look at the report. World Hearing Day is an annually observed across the globe on 3rd March to raise awareness on how to prevent deafness and hearing loss and to promote hearing care across the globe. The World Health Organization organizes the annual events of the Hearing Day at WHO headquarters, Geneva, Switzerland. The theme of the World Hearing Day is also dedicated by WHO, and what is the theme? Theme is Hearing Care for All, Screen, Rehabilitate and Communicate. The World Hearing Day theme, as we just saw, it is Hearing Care for All, Screen, Rehabilitate and Communicate. What is the aim behind celebrating this day on 3rd of March, that is World Hearing Day? It is to promote health actions for ear and hearing care, stimulate intersectoral partnership for ear and hearing care, raise awareness on hearing loss and care at a national and community levels across the world. It also encourages behavior change towards healthy EHC practices. Alright, so this is your World Hearing Day that is celebrated on 3rd of March. This report or this day is celebrated by which organization? By WHO, and the theme you need to remember, it is Hearing Care for All, Screen, Rehabilitate and Communicate. Moving on to next. Next we'll be talking about that more than 930 million tons of food are being wasted every year. That is a huge amount of food that is going to waste every year, and this is report released by UNEP, that is your United Nations Environment Program, along with WRAP, that stands for Waste and Resources Actions Program. I repeat, this report, that is your United Nations Global Report, that tells that more than about 931 million tons of food is thrown away in waste bins every year. The name of the report is UN Global Report. This report is released by UNEP and WRAP. UNEP stands for United Nations Environment Program and WRAP stands for Waste and Resources Actions Program. Alright, so if we look at some of the data here. According to Food Waste Index Report 2021 compiled by the United Nations Environment Program and WRAP, that is Waste and Resource Action Program, more than 931 million tons of food is being wasted every year. That is equal to 17% of the food produced globally. That means if we are producing 100% food, out of which 17% of food is being wasted every year. 61% of this waste was generated by households, 26% from food services and 13% from retails. At the global level, 74 per 74 kg per capita of food is being wasted every year. In India, the per capita food wastage is 50 kg at the household level, and it is estimated that India generates about 68,760,163 tons of food waste every year. The 2015 Sustained Development Goals aims about 2.3 aims to have half food waste and reduce food loss by 2030. So according to the Sustainable Development Goals of 2020 of 2015 is to halve the food waste, that to reduce the loss by 2030. That means if we are wasting about 931 millions of food every year, that means we have to reduce it to half. That will be about how much? 460 or 465 million tons of food every year. We should conserve that food and not waste that food. So if we look at the key points, per capita food wastage is higher in Western Asian and Sub-Saharan African countries compared to South Asian, European and North American countries. 8 to 10% of the global greenhouse gas emissions are associated with food which are not consumed. That means the greenhouse gases are also, these wastage of food is also responsible for this greenhouse gas emissions. Reducing food waste will slow down the destruction of nature through land conversions and pollutions, enhance availability of food and reduce hunger. Alright, so basically reducing wastage will help a lot also in feeding the poor people who are not able to get proper foods on daily basis. So this report was released by whom? By UNEP and WRAP, that is United Nations Environment Program, and WRAP stands for Waste and Resource Actions Program. Moving on to next. Next we'll be talking about a report that was released by UNICEF, that stands for United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. This report suggests that due to closure of schools due to pandemic that is going on recently in 2020-21, we saw all the schools, almost all the schools in the world were closed down. So that has impacted the study of children a lot. Alright, so this report suggests that there were about 247 million children that were impacted due to the closure of schools. I repeat, the number was 247 million children in India were affected due to the closure of schools due to COVID-19 or due to lockdown. Alright, if we look at the report, according to the report Education from Disruption to Recovery, this is the name of the report. Do take a note of this. Alright, Education from Disruption to Recovery, released by UNICEF. This report was released by UNICEF, that is United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. Closure of 1.5 million schools due to pandemic and its lockdown in 2020 has impacted 247 million children enrolled in the elementary schools and secondary schools in India itself. Globally, around 888 million children continue to face disruptions to their education due to full or partial school closures. That means in India, 247 million children were infected, and if we are talking globally, 888 million children are affected. Schools in 14 countries across the world have remained closed since March 2020 to February 2021. Two-thirds of these countries are in Latin America and Caribbean. It has affected around 98 million school children in these regions. Alright, then if we are talking about rural-urban divide, the report also states that online education is not feasible as only 1 in 4 children have access to digital devices and internet connectivity. And if we are talking in India, that report highlighted that before the pandemic, only 24% of the households in India had access to internet. That is 1/4 of the population of India has their access to internet, and rest are not having internet access. That means if the students have to take class online, they are not able to take online classes, and definitely their education will be impacted to a large scale, because for whole complete more than 1 year the schools have been shut down. So this report was released by UNICEF, that is United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. Moving on to next. Next we'll be talking about this UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said 2020 or has described 2021 as a make or break year to confront the global climate emergency. As we know that climate is a big issue and all the countries all over the world are taking various initiatives to tackle with this climate situation. All right, various programs or various initiatives have been started by various governments to slow down the global warming and to take care of our climate. So particularly for that, to tackle the global climate emergency, Antonio Guterres, who is the UN Secretary General, said that 2020 is a make or break year. All right, it is a make or break year, and this has been referred to by whom? The year 2021 has been referred as make or break year by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So if we look at the report, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has stated that 2021 is a make or break year to confront the global climate emergency. The UN Framework Convention on Climate Change has released the initial NDC, that is your National Determined Contribution to Synthesis report, which measures the progress of climate action plans to countries under the Paris Agreement. The report states that efforts put in by the countries are not enough to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius or to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. If we talk about the Paris Agreement, what is Paris Agreement? According to the Paris Agreement, it states that, or it aims to substantially reduce the global greenhouse gases emissions in an effort to limit the global temperature increase in the country to 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels, while pursuing the means to limit the increase to 1.5 degrees. Alright, so that is what this is saying, that the report states that the effort to put in by the countries are not enough to limit the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius or to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. In order to achieve the target, countries must cut global emissions by 45% by 2030 or from the 2010 levels. That is mean we have to cut our global emissions by 45%, that is approximately half by 2030. That is the reason all these solar power projects are coming up, all these electric vehicles are manufacturing of these electric vehicles are coming up. These have sparked these inventions. All right, so climate issue is a very big issue and you should just take a note of all the important points or initiatives, programs, development projects, manufacturing projects. Take a note of all these projects because these are the fierce topic that have high chance of being asked in your upcoming exams. Moving on to next report. Next we'll be talking that due to COVID-19, it has impacted that about 10 million child marriages will be carried out in this decade itself. Alright, that means around 10 million child marriages will be carried out in this decade, that is from 2020 to 2030. 10 million child marriages will be carried out along due to the impact of this particular COVID-19. This report was released by UNICEF. What is UNICEF? UNICEF is your United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. If we look at the data, according to the COVID-19, a threat to progress against child marriage, this report was compiled by UNICEF, and according to this, COVID-19 impact could result in additional 10 million child marriages in the next decade, that is from 2020 to 2030. The study stated that in the past decade of 2010 to 2020, the proportion of young women married as children had declined 15% globally from 1 in 4 to 1 in 5. That was a good success. That means it was declined by 15%. The report was released ahead of the International Women's Day on March 8, 2021, basically to create awareness about this situation or this problem that will be coming or we will be facing in the coming decade. Factors causing the child marriages is basically the study suggests that the study states that school closures, economic stress, pregnancy and parental deaths due to the pandemic are putting vulnerable girls at increased risk of being married to at early stage. How can we prevent or how can we avoid this child marriages? There are some measures to do that. That is by reopening schools. If the particular girl will be getting, or the early school child will be getting the education. So that means they will continue to focus on their study, and instead of marriage they will focus on the future of the particular or on their career. All right, then implementing legal reform. There should be strict laws against the child marriage. Ensure access to health and social services to protect families. That means there is no burden, there will be no burden on a particular family to get married due to pressure. It can be of loan. If a particular family has taken a loan from another family, they can force them into getting married. So such also incidents take places. All right, so this report is regarding your the child marriage and to how we can prevent the child marriage in the upcoming decade, that is from 2020 to 2030, because it will be a huge problem as per the report. All right, then moving on to the next. Next, we'll be talking about a report that was released by SIPRI. SIPRI stands for Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. According to SIPRI, it stated that India's import of arms has been decreased by 33%. That is total one third. They have decreased the import of the arms and ammunition from other countries. If we talk about the three top countries from which India import arms and ammunition are, first is Russia with 49% of import of arms, second is France, and third is Israel. All right, that means this report suggests that India has decreased the arm import by one third. All right, and due to this there will be a push in the initiative of Make in India, and these all arms will be indigenously developed by various organizations in India itself. If we look at the report, according to a report of SIPRI, India's import of arms has decreased by 33% between 2011-15 and 2016-20 due to its increased push for Make in India initiative and other measures to boost the domestic defense industry. The most affected country due to decline in India's import was Russia. It was followed by USA. All right, that means the most affected country due to decline in India's import was Russia. It was followed by USA. Then if we talk about globally, the five largest arm exporters in 2016-20 were USA, Russia, France, Germany, and China, while top importers were Saudi Arabia, India, Egypt, Australia, and China. USA remains the largest arm exporter, increasing its global share of arm exports from 32 to 37% between 2011 to 15 and 2016 to 2020. India's top three arms suppliers during 2016 to 20 were Russia, France, and Israel. All right, so the important thing you need to remember from this report is the name of the organization that releases this report. It is SIPRI. All right, then what is the percent of arms that was decreased, or the import of arms were decreased? It is 33%. And the top suppliers of India during 2016 to 20 period was Russia, second was France, and third was Israel. All right, next we'll be talking about a WHO study, that is your World Health Organization study, finds that 1 in every 3 women faces physical sexual violence. All right, I repeat, 1 in every 3 women faces physical sexual violence. This report has been published by World Health Organization. If we talk about the report, the World Health Organization has launched a report titled Violence Against Women Prevalence Estimates 2018. The report was based on the WHO's largest study based on the prevalence of violence against women. The study conducted by WHO on the behalf of United Nations Interagency Working Group on Violence Against Women Estimation and Data. All right, this was this study was conducted by this United Nations Interagency Working Group on Violence Against Women Estimation and Data. It states that around 736 million to 852 million women across the globe, that is 1 in every 3 women, have faced physical or sexual violence at least once in their lifetime, and that is a huge number. All right, do mark it. 1 in every 3 women have faced physical or sexual violence at least once in their lifetime. At least 1 in 4 women that were a victim of domestic or sexual violence were in their mid-20s and were subjected to torture, mostly by intimate partner. If we talk about the report, this is the first of its kind study by WHO since 2013 that focuses on both violence by intimate partners and sexual violence by non-partners. The report compiles the data from 158 countries. The figure of the reports track a period from 2010 to 2018, which does not include the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Various studies have shown that there is an increase in domestic violence against women since the government. Alright, so this is important. Do take a note that 1 in 3 women faces physical sexual violence, and this report was published by whom? It was published by WHO. Next is that India is expected to record largest increase in child and maternal death. This report has been released by, if we talk about, this report has been released by UNICEF, and this is important, so do take a note of it. Also remember, this report was released by UNICEF along with partners were WHO and United Nations Population Fund. Alright, so main agency was UNICEF and the partners were WHO and UNFPA. United Nations International Children's Fund Agency in partnership with WHO and UNFPA has released a report called Direct and Indirect Effects of COVID-19 Pandemic and Response in South Asia. The report also released and estimates that anticipate that India will record the largest increase of death among children aged 5 years 15% and maternal death, that is death of their parents, by 18% among 6 South Asian countries in 2020 due to pandemic. Alright. The 6 South Asian countries we are talking about here are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Disruption in sexual, reproductive, maternal, neonatal and child health services due to COVID-19 is expected to have a substantial impact on the maternal and child mortality. Alright, so this report is important and this report has been released by UNICEF along with WHO and UNFPA. Alright, then moving on to next. Next we'll be talking about global energy meets call for accelerated shift towards renewables. As we said, we are shifting towards now a world which will be having renewable source of energy, which will be developed on the sustainable goals. Alright, so we will focus more on sustainable development. Alright, and we should focus, or we are focusing now on how we can change the climate that we are having today and reduce the carbon and reduce the pollution from it so that we can tackle the issue of global warming. Alright, this report of global related to the global energy was released by IRENA. Alright, IRENA, it stands for International Renewable Energy Agency. So if we look at the report, according to the report World Energy Transition Outlook 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway, and this we saw it is for the Paris Agreement, released by International Renewable Energy Agency IRENA, the COVID-19 crisis is an opportunity for countries across the world to disengage their economies from fossil fuels and accelerate their shift towards the renewable energy resources. Energy transitions are one of the few solutions for containing the rise of global temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius and halting global warming and bringing carbon dioxide CO2 emissions closer to net zero by mid-century, that is by 2050. All the countries including India, and the name of the company in India is ReNew, that is aiming to reduce the carbon or to bring carbon neutrality in India by 2050. It calls for countries around the world to increase their efforts towards the energy transition without delay. The report was previewed at the virtual Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue, which took place from March 16 to March 17. The report is just a preview. The full version of the report will be released soon and will act as a blueprint for the energy transition. Then 90% of energy from renewable resources by 2050. The report stated that by 2050, 90% of the total electricity will be supplied by the renewables, followed by 6% from natural gas and remaining from nuclear power. Alright, so this report was released by whom? It was released by IRENA, that is your International Renewable Energy Agency. And the name of the report is World Energy Transition Outlook 1.0 degree pathway. Moving on to next. Next we'll be talking that This report states that was released by UNICEF states that 1 in 5 children globally does not have enough water to meet their everyday needs. Alright, so water is also one of the crises in today's century, and this report tells about that. This report is released by UNICEF, so do remember it. According to the report, Reimagining Water Security for All, that was released by UNICEF, states that globally more than 1.42 billion people, including 450 million children, lives in areas of high or extremely high water vulnerability. That means they are not able to get water for their daily needs. It is essentially mean that globally 1 in 5 children worldwide do not have enough water to meet their everyday needs. Eastern and South African nations have the highest proportion of children, that is 58%, living in the areas with extremely high water vulnerability. It is followed by West and Central Africa. South Asia is the home to the largest number of children living in the areas of high or extremely high water vulnerability, more than 155 million children. Alright, the report is a part of UNICEF's Water Security for All initiative. Global water demand is projected to increase by 20 to 30% per year by 2050. Do mark this, that the global water demand is projected to increase by 20 to 30% per year by 2050. More than 2 crore, that is 20 million children in India are experiencing extremely high water vulnerability. What is the goal of UNICEF or the humans? The goal is that the UNICEF has a set goal to reach 450 million children and their families with resilient solutions for improving water vulnerability by 2025. All children to have access a safe and affordable water supply and to live in a water secure communities by 2030. This is the goal of UNICEF, and this report that 1 in 5 children globally does not have enough water to meet their needs. This report was released by whom? It was released by UNICEF, that is United Nations Children's Fund or United Nations International Children's Economic Fund. Alright, so moving on to next. Alright, I repeat, it was not United Nations Children Emergency Fund. Next we'll be talking about renewable energy. So this question automatically becomes important, that India is to miss the renewable energy capacity target that was set by the Indian government. This report is released by Global Wind Energy Council. I repeat, this report is released by Global Wind Energy Council, that is GWEC, and according to this report, India is to miss the renewable energy capacity targets that were set by the governments. Alright, so if we look at the report, according to this report, Global Wind Report 2021 that was released by Global Wind Energy Council GWEC, India may miss its 2022 renewable energy capacity target that was of 175 gigawatt renewable energy by 2022. In this 175, 100 was of solar, 60 gigawatt was from wind, 10 was from bioenergy, 5 was from small hydropower projects. Alright, then the constraint range from things like land allocations, grid availability, the recurring financial instability of DISCOMs, that is your power distribution companies, tender designs and PPA, that is power purchase agreements, sanctity and others. These are the various reasons that has been stated by the government, due to which the energy capacity or the energy demand that was set by the government for 2022 was not completed or was not achieved by them. At the global level, 2020 was the best year in the history for global wind energy. Around 93 gigawatts of new capacities were installed, 53% year-on-year increase. The world needs at least 180 gigawatts of new wind energy every year to limit global warming to well below 2 degree and above pre-industrial levels. Out of 93 gigawatts of new wind power capacity installed in 2020, India's share was just 20%. The total wind power capacity across the globe stands at 743 gigawatt. US and China accounts for more than 50% of the wind energy that has been generated, or the total energy that has been generated by wind itself, and 50% is from USA and China, that is the wind energy. The Global Wind Report of 2021 is GWEC's 16th annual flagship report. Then if we talk about 2020 best year for global wind industry, the report states that 50%, 53% year on year increase achieved in 2020 is not enough to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The majority of wind energy growth in 2020 was driven by the world's second largest wind power makers, that are China and USA. So questions can be indirectly asked, which two countries or which country is the world's largest wind energy maker? So it is USA and China. Together they have installed 75% of the new installations in 2020 alone. Alright, so this report by GWEC, that is Global Wind Energy Council, states that India has missed their global energy capacity target. The global missed their renewable energy capacity targets, and the target was to achieve 175 gigawatts of energy by 2022, that is the renewable energy. All right, then moving on to the last topic of the day, and it is the India has secured the 5th position in the most attractive growth destination after UK survey. All right, I repeat, this report was released by PwC, that is Price Waterhouse Coopers. They suggested, or they said, that India has secured the 5th most attractive growth destination. That means all the countries all over the world are now also focusing on India to invest, as it has been emerged as a emerging sector recently. According to the report of PwC, that is Price Waterhouse Coopers 24th annual global CEO survey, India has emerged as the 5th most attractive global destination in the world. India has slipped one position to 5th after being surpassed by the United Kingdom, which took the 4th position. Alright, so 4th position is of UK, 5th position is of India in the most attractive growth destination in the world. The USA has emerged as the number 1 market favored by the CEOs over the next 1 year, followed by China and Germany. So if we look at the positions, first position is of USA, second is of China, third is of Germany, and fourth is of UK, and fifth is of India. Alright, the survey covered 5,050 CEOs in 100 countries and territories, including India. Japan took the 6th position, overtaking Australia, and 76% of the CEOs expect the global economy recovery to improve in 2021. So, if we look at this report by Price Waterhouse Coopers, India's position was, or the India most attractive market, the rank of India was in this most attractive market index was 5th, and in the most attractive market, the country that topped was USA, followed by China, Germany, and UK. So friends, this was our video. I hope you enjoyed our video. If you liked our video, do hit the like button, share the link with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, or if you are new to our channel, then do subscribe, because it motivates us to bring a better content for you guys. Also, if you have any trouble regarding login or payment or any other issues, then you can reach to us on our mail, that is support@affairscloud.com, or you can call us on the number 9677333862, and we'll resolve your issue as soon as possible. Also, you should go and check our courses that are available at a very reasonable price, and that will help you to boost your preparations for upcoming government exams. You can use the code Vikas10 to get a straight 10% discount on any purchase you make. Alright, so that's all for the day. Take care.